G'day scrappers, just wanted to talk about how I clean my plugs, and when I'm buying plugs off scrappers, there's a couple of types of plugs that I preferred cleaned up rather than just as they are. Like these ribbon, the plugs on these ribbon cables, instead of say for instance, a lot of people trim them off like that and just you know, leave us with a little bit of ribbon wire still in it, and to me that's you know, not how I like to get them. I prefer my plugs clean like that, with the backing removed and the pins, the ends of the pins exposed. So simply by snipping the back plastic off, peeling off the ribbon, and that exposes the gold pins, and that's how I prefer my pins when I'm buying pins. As you can see, this one here was probably a high quality ribbon cable, so not sure if you can see it, but the gold is quite prominent, very prominent on these ones. They're not very common, as common as say these ones, the cheaper, more modern style. You can see there's, you know, you can't see the gold, it's just you know, tin, whatever it is, and even the gold, the pins themselves, you can really tell the difference. You got pins. Let me pull one out here. Hang on. Okay, so that's a pin from that, and as you can see, there's the gold is just right on the very tip, the tips of those two pins. It's very light gold. If I can get one of these out, I'll show you the difference. Just bear with me for a sec. Well, I'll try and crack into it. Now in the center there's like a spacer. Now I'm not 100% sure that these are gold. This one kind of looks like it is plated, but it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of these are actually brass. But this one does look pretty good. And just get one of these pins out. I'll show you okay. It's like a little operation, but as you can see, there's a big difference between some and others, and whilst these ones aren't as common anymore, these ones are very common, but some pins can actually be even lower, you know, lighter gold plating than that, and it's like, you know, very thin. So, you know, just keep that in mind when you're pulling your pins and stuff. You know, not everything is, you know, highly valued. So when you sell your pins, that's, you know, the price that you get is balancing out the fact that some are really good like this, and others are you know, or there's, you know, good ones like this, or others are very basic ones like that, and even less so. So that's the balance you get between these pins. So you're not gonna, you know, like, no one's gonna scan every one to see how much this one's got, how much that. So anyway, so that's basically all I do with these. Just, it's a quick thing. As you're taking them out of PCs, just quickly clean up the plug. You got your cable you put into your insulated wire, and that's it. The other version of that same kind of thing are these ones with the really big fat chunky ones as well as the small ones. I find that when it's like this, usually these ones are very, very low grade. Now, just sometimes they stick on like that, and that's another thing when buying or selling these pins, is you got to be wary that, you know, sometimes half the pins actually stay on the ribbon, and one, you know, all I do is, you know, you can just pull them off like that and just throw them in your you know, if you've got a jar for pins, I would put these in the very light grade pins, because as you can see, on that pin compared to the other ones, the gold plating is just on one little piece there, and it's just tiny. So it's a lot less than this, and obviously a lot less than that. And there's so as far as gold recovery on this type of pin, there's, you know, it's barely even worth recovering. So that's the balance between pins. When selling pins, you think, oh, you know, maybe I can recover more gold out of it instead of selling them. Well, yeah, you know, some you can, others you won't. And the same with this thing. These big ones, they work the same way. I just pull them off like that, get rid of your plastic, and you got your pins. And so just, that's how I buy them. That's how I prefer to buy them. That's you know, even if you just keep these for your own refining, it's the best way to do it, because it saves you a bit of cleaning later on when you've got a whole heap of them. Let's just have a look at one of the pins. Yeah, this version was obviously a very cheap, you know, a cheaper cable. Sometimes they can be really, you know, really thick gold plating, but as you can see, there's very again, there's very little plating. It's very light grade plating. Obviously nothing compared to the first one, and even the second one, you can see that the gold is more prominent, even though it's only a little bit compared to that. It's just a very, very light. So keep that in mind. Okay, so we've done them ones, and the only other ones I really clean are like these video cables. You know, so instead of having this dead weight and excess weight, you know, just adding weight to the bucket, and so I prefer to clean them, and when I'm buying them, I prefer them cleaned off. Now, as you can see here, the entire screw didn't come out, half of it's still stuck in there. That's fine. At least it's an attempt to clean them up a bit. You know, sometimes, you know, if the more heavier ones, they'll come out, you know, entirely, but in these ones, they just stuck in. That's fine. And then I just cut, you know, right at the end, and that's it. And that's what I consider a cleaned plug. And the other style, or the new style of video cable, is these ones, and it's the same deal. All I do is just, you pull out the pins. Right, when you're scrapping them, you know, it's pretty quick one. You know, you got your side cutters in your hand usually, and so, you know, all I do is just a quick trim like that, cut off the cable, and there we go. Pin ready to go to be, you know, to either sell to me or throw into your gold plug bucket. The same at the other end, obviously. And then these ones too, the older style, a lot of printer sort of plugs. Same sort of deal with the steel pin. I pull that out. Usually when I pull these pins out, it usually cracks the casing of this in half anyway. Opens it up. But at this point you can just cut the wire off, and that's how I accept them. When I'm doing my own, I'll go even further, and I'll take off this plastic casing and remove the whole pin. I won't do it now, but that's what I consider a clean plug. With these ones, even the female ones, they've still got a bit of gold plating on there, so the same sort of deal. I just cut it like that, and that's a clean plug. Sometimes they've got little pieces of wire. You don't really have to worry about it. Sometimes I just snip them off like that. But yeah, that's it. And you got these kind here, which you know, you could do this and send it like that, but I would prefer with these particular ones, they got like a hard plastic. They sort of open up and this part, you know, goes away. And then what I like to do is I just, you know, cut them right up to there. And so, and there we go. And that's a really nice clean plug. You know, that's how I prefer to keep them, but they don't have to be this clean for me to buy them. Same deal here. Got these plastic steel things, and just pop it out. 1, 2. There you go. If there's some left in there, which, you know, there usually is, that's fine. Cut the wire off, and there we go. Clean plug. And then other things like these what are they, printer sort of you know, kind of you know, plugs. With these ones, obviously there's only 2 little pieces of pin on each side. It's not a great deal. You know, if you can just cut them up as close as possible, that's fine. With these ones, you could, you know, do that, or you can go, you know, a little bit further up and give yourself a little bit more wire, weight to your wire. Do it like that. The way I prefer is I prefer to, for my own stack, I prefer to cut like that and snip them off. Yeah, can't really do it right now. I haven't got the strength this morning. But you know what I mean. So I know that my gold pins are sort of squashed in there, and that's what I do, but I don't expect people to do that. Same with these kind of cables. What I like to do is, as you can see, the gold is actually, the pins are just, you know, just that little part at the front. So, you know, you can do this and you can cut it and sell it like that, but really, you know, what I do is I cut it right close to where the gold pins are, and so I leave this part on the cable, right, and just sell it as part of the cable, and all, you know, all I take is just that little bit. But again, I don't expect to buy them like this. You know, these blue ones, you know, just simply cutting them cut as much, you know, off the back as possible would be good. You know, something like that, or give yourself a bit more wire like that. That's fine. That's a clean plug. Occasionally you get things like this with the USB sort of inside this sort of thing, just to make it a little bit more respectable. I just cut off these ends, right? You know, just a you know, obvious dead weight, and even that is, you know, quite a lot of weight for what value is in there, you know. So, you know, if you, depends on, you know, who you are or what kind of thinking you're into. Then you know, obviously these kind of pins from your PCs, very common. So you got your, you know, multiple tiny little pins there, and you got these ones with, you know, a lot of these can be gold plated. So, you know, so you got 3 pins, even these single ones, and they're fine. Just cut them like that. There you go. That's a pin. Pins ready to be sold. Gold pins, and they all sell for the same price. And same as these SATA cables. You can cut them at the cable. That's fine. And the other side, that's sort of like a dog legs. You know, I usually cut one side off, so it's flat, so it's, you know, the same as the other one. That's a clean plug. Any other plugs? Yeah, that's about it. You know, and same as I've said, it's got little gold pins, even the small ones, gold pins, right? So the same sort of deal. That's a clean plug. Okay, well, I hope this gives you a little bit of an idea. Keep scrapping and have fun.